Good morning, students. Today is Thursday, September 11th. I'm Samuel Wolf.
And I'm Mary McFadden, and this is your KSAC News. Welcome to KSAC News. Before we begin the special segment of the week, we would like to remind you that there are some athletic events this weekend and a missions breakfast tomorrow morning.
The JV football team will be playing at Bandera tonight at 6 o'clock, and the varsity football team will be playing tomorrow at 7:30. Cross country will also be competing at the 12th annual Feast Patriot Cross Country Invitational on Saturday, so be sure you go out and support our sports teams this weekend.
Moving on to the main focus of today's newscast, today is September 11th. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, Sacs high schoolers were on the buses leaving for fall retreat. As the buses pulled out of the parking lot, the first plane had already hit the World Trade Center, and the second plane hit the Pentagon as the buses were pulling onto Redland Road. Throughout the United States, other stories were already developing. This is a historical day, and one to be remembered.
Recently, Mary and I were able to sit down with a man with a powerful story regarding 9/11. What makes this interview different, though, than any other is that we were the first people he's ever talked with about his experience and the horrific events that unfolded 13 years ago today.
Hey Mom, it's Brad. Just wanted to call and let you know, I'm sure that you heard that a plane crashed into World Trade Center 1. We're fine, we're in World Trade Center 2, but obviously a pretty scary experience. I saw a guy fall out of probably the 91st story all the way down.
Is anybody still there? We are, absolutely. You're doing a great job. Just stay calm, okay, buddy? What's going on, honey? Okay. Aircraft is erratic again. Driving very erratically.
Oh, there's another one. Another plane just hit. Right, oh my God, it hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
Betty, talk to me. Betty, are you there? I think we might have lost her.
I'm Mary McFadden, and I'm sitting here with Mr. Roth. Could you introduce yourself for us, please?
Yes, hi, my name is Matthew Roth. I was a employee of Cantor Fitzgerald from 1997 to 2010. And Cantor Fitzgerald is it was the company that was the most impacted by the World Trade Center tragedies. We lost over 900 employees that day. I lost hundreds of my close friends. And it was quite a difficult time.
Do you think you could walk us through what happened on September 11th, 2001?
Sure. It was a Tuesday morning, and it was a nice, mild New England day. It was sunny. There weren't any clouds in the sky. It was just a normal Tuesday morning. I got into my office in Darien, Connecticut at about 6 a.m. One of my good friends and my coworker, Bill Meehan, had traveled the night before, and he had been on CNBC that morning from our New York offices, which were on the 104th floor of the World Trade Center. And he was talking with CNBC about the economic news of the day, and that was the last time we saw Bill. About 30 minutes after his interview, we started hearing reports that a plane had hit the World Trade Center, and it had hit our tower. My company's offices were on the 103rd through the 105th floors of the World Trade Center, North Tower, World Trade Center 1. And I worked in that office from 1997 to 1999. I was a commodities broker at the time, and in '99 I transferred up to our Connecticut office to work on the convertible securities desk. And when we saw this report of a plane hitting, nobody believed that it was any big deal, because all we saw on television was this picture of the side of the building with a little bit of smoke and maybe some debris coming out of it. And we thought it was like a small plane, like a Cessna or something like that. And we're watching, and live on the news, second plane flies into the South Tower, and then we realized how bad it really was. At the same time, we were hearing from our friends who were in the offices in New York. We had a couple of ways that we kept our communications lines open. We were always on the phone with them. We started hearing our friends talking on a box out, telling us, when are the firemen coming? What should we do? How do we get out? And everybody was trying to tell them go for the stairways. We found out later that all the stairways were destroyed, and there was no way for anybody to get down from that level. Our CEO at the time, a guy named Howard Lutnick, he told the story later on that he had stood there at the bottom of the building as people were running out from the stairs and asked them what floor they came from, because if he heard just one person coming out from 102, 103, that there was a chance that our people had gotten out. And I think from what I remember, the highest number he heard was 78. Everybody was trying to figure out how to get them out of there, what to do. We knew that the New York Fire Department was on their way there, and the New York Police Department. And we were hoping that something good would happen. And we had, I had just talked to one of my friends, maybe 4 or 5 minutes before we saw the tower fall down. And the first tower went down, and then the second one, like right after it. It was pretty scary. And I knew that the person that I had been talking to, there was no way he could have gotten out. We were hoping that there were people who had gotten out, because there was a good hour-ish between the time the plane hit and the time the tower fell down, which we were trying to think and say, yeah, you could run down 100 flights of stairs if you needed to in that amount of time. Then that afternoon and all day the next day, our office became basically the crisis center. Everybody who wasn't in the office that morning in New York either came to our office or they went to New Jersey. And we had about 50 people in our office, and all we did for the next 2-3 days was answer phone calls from our friends' families and try to find out contact information, any chance that we could find them, any chance that we could get in touch with the families if anybody was hearing anything about survivors or anything like that. I remember my very good friend Barry McTiernan, who was our office manager at the time. He and I almost got in a fist fight because I thought there was still a chance, and he was being realistic and saying they're all dead. There's nobody left, and it was it was just very difficult to accept. We opened the company back up when they opened the markets back up about a week later, and Cantor basically gave 25% of its earnings to the families for the next year. So we felt like we did at least some small part in taking care of our friends' families, but the talking to people moments before they die and talking to their families right afterwards and trying to help them rationalize what's going on was the most difficult thing I've ever done.
I can't even begin to imagine what you must have felt like that day. Do you have anything that young people should take away from September 11th?
I think that the only way I can really describe it is my generation. I heard my grandfather talk about Pearl Harbor and how bad that was, a unprovoked attack on U.S. soil by a foreign power, and all the people who died and all the devastation. But it was a story in a book. Pardon me. It was a story in a book. It was a story that my grandpa told me that I said, yeah, that was bad, and we went to war and did all this stuff, but I never really felt it. It never really resonated to the point where, I understood the emotion that he must have felt on that day until this happened. The most important thing to take away is to never forget that this was over 3,000 innocent people who lost their lives. And the greatest description of it I heard was at the first memorial service. There was a rabbi in New York who said this was not one act of murder. This was 3,000 individual acts of murder. And if you imagine the impact of one single act of murder on a friend of yours, imagine that happening 3,000 times. I had every single year on September 11th, I remember my friends. I remember Danny and Adele and Jude and Carlton and TJ and JC and 100 other people, and I just want to make sure that nobody ever forgets those people, that it was good people, and they were just there doing their job.
Yeah, hi. I'm on the 106th floor of the World Trade Center. We just had an explosion.
The 106th floor?
Yes, we had smoke, and it's pretty bad. We can't get down the stairs.
All right.
We had about 100 people up here.
Do not leave, okay? There's a fire or an explosion or something in the building. All right, I want you to stay where you are.
Phil, there's a fire. I love you, Phil. I love you. I don't know if I'm going to be okay, Phil. I love you so much.
A plane crashed into Alpha 4 of the World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center, tower number 1 is on fire. The whole outside of the building was just...
Send every available ambulance to World Trade Center now.
Mom, it's Steven. My plane, my building got hit by a plane. And right now, I think I'm okay. I'm safe now, but it's smoky. I just want to say how much I love you. And I will call you when I'm safe. Okay, Mom? Bye.